Okay then my friends, what we have here is a whole shoulder of pork. Let me just show you, it doesn't look too appetizing that way, but that's the way it would be. Obviously head to here, shoulders, you've got the hock. What that gives you, to my American friends, is the Boston butt. So this bit here is the Boston butt, what we call the spare rib. Now what I want to do, as I take this apart, is I want to keep that spare rib, or Boston butt, whatever you want to call it, and cure it to make an old-fashioned collar bacon. So what I need to do first is just saw through there. Now you can take this any size you want. Normally you would try and hit the ball joint, but I'm going to take it just a little shorter. The other part we can roll for a roasting joint, and of course the trim for the sausages. So just cut through that. Like that. There's our, what would be the Boston butt, and this, if we were to trim it up by just taking these ribs off, and just taking that neck, the scraggly bit of neck and the blood meat. This is a very, very old school roasting joint. It used to be really cheap, but you've got a lot for your money. Taking out those veins. So that there is a classic hand of pork. But also, if we were to cut here, we would have a picnic ham. So there's so many things you could do with this. But what I'm going to do very quickly is I want to take the hock off. So we're just loosening around the joint, you can see there, just with our knife in. Job is a good one. So what I'll do quickly is I'll just skin this. Of course, by all means you could roast this, or even again cure it. Use it exactly as you would a ham hock. But all I'm going to do, quite crudely, quite quickly, is just get that trim off the sausages. By just following the bone. Some prime sausage meat there, if ever there was some. So we get rid of the bone over there. Now, on to this. So, like I said, we can bone and roll this as a shoulder joint. Obviously you'd be able to pull this as well. You haven't just got to use the spare rib, the Boston butt. I actually find that the way this shoulder is made up, it pulls a lot easier than that bad boy. So just a bit of tunnel boning. Now tunnel boning is exactly what it says. You tunnel down to it and along it, instead of just the obvious way would be slash across there, take the bone out. Tunnel boning, a little bit more skill, just using the point of your knife, just easing it down. Ease one end, loosen off the other end. And the trick is not to slash the meat too much. And once you've got it loose, you can properly work on it. You can see there my knife scraping down the bone. And it should start to loosen out. Just work your way around it, pretty much. As you can see, look, just pops out. And for all intents and purposes, that just needs rolling. So I'm just going to take a bit of trim off for the all-important sausage meat. Then we can get on and cure down that spare rib. So what we need to do is trim any bits of funk out, and what I'm going to do is truss that up nice. So just start in the middle, nice and simple, and we can tie it off just to hold it together, just so it doesn't try and burst out. That's all it's for. Tie it up like an old football. So a needle pulling thread. So all we need to do now is check our shape, try and roll it like that. So first thing we need to do is score. Nice sharp knife. So I go on this angle. Get the string and do the business. So not too tight then. Just want to get a nice even shape. So there's not a lot of pressure on those strings at all. So just trim up the ends, square it off. There we have one shoulder of pork ready to roast. Beautiful. So I'm just going to quickly nip through this trim real quick. Sausages, skimming along the skin. Years ago they would have put the skin in as well. I mean, we've moved on in leaps and bounds what we put in our sausage. I've said it many a times before, there's no more lips and arseholes, just good quality meat, as you can see there. And like I've said in a lot of my sausage videos, the ratio, about 30% fat, 70% lean. So you're looking at something like that, you know, that is kind of a perfect sausage making ratio. Just tidy them bits up and put them over there. Right, now we go onto this. So like I said, we call this the spare rib, or the spare rib, some people call it. It's actually spelled S-P-A-R-I-B, so no E in it. Absolutely fantastic roasting joint when it's like this, raw. In fact, it's my favourite. And of course, my friends over the pond, beloved of you guys and gals, the Boston butt. So just nipping the neck bone out. There ain't a lot left on that. What there is goes over there. So already it's looking a lot better than it did. Just working through that. can go in. And basically all we need to do is take out the scapula, the blade bone. Then I'm going to get the Easy Cure curing salts, weigh out. Well, weigh the meat, see how much it weighs, and then give it 30 grams of cure for every kilo of meat. Now the trick is here, or the tricky thing is, I haven't got any big vacuum pack bags. So if you're going to do it at home, you could do it in a Ziploc bag. But what I'll do is I'll cut it down smaller and do 2. Just get over that ledge. Done. Right, let's have a look what we got here. So, I am going to square that up. It's what we do. Knife is poor. Get all that lovely back fat off. So to my American friends then, this is the Boston butt. If we were to go down that seam, that piece of meat there, we years ago would leave the bone in, take down that seam and just sell these as spare rib chops. But obviously times move on, tastes move on. Pulled pork is king. So I'm just seeing how big that is and how big a vat pack I've got. See if I can get it in one. First thing I need to do is weigh out the cure. Okay my friends, couldn't be any easier with this wonderful Easy Cure or Insta Cure, whatever you want to call it. All you need to do is weigh your chosen piece of porkage. So I've weighed this. This weighs 2.8 kilos. So for every kilo, you give it 30 grams of the Instacure or Easy Cure. You can get this anywhere online. Check out Westernfowler, they sell it. It's absolutely brilliant stuff, all measured out. You haven't got to worry about the salt, the sugar, you know, and the nitrate. It's all done for you. So 2.8 kilos of pork, 30 gram per kilo. So 2.5 kilos is 75 grams, and then every 100 gram after that is 3 grams, so that's 84 grams. So what we need to do, and what you've got to make sure you do, is get a good covering. But the main thing to worry about is all the nooks and the crannies. So give it a good massage in there, you know, any holes, get it in. Make sure you get a good covering and give it a good old massage. Like I say, put a bit of Barry White on, lower the lights, lie in front of the fire and just rub, man. Then have a cigarette and a cuddle afterwards. So yeah, it really is this easy. And if you do it in a tray like this, any bits you catch, you can just dot it in. And of course, if you're going to use a container, use a plastic one. You don't want to use metal because the salt will react. But yeah, just give it a rub, man. Have you had a hard day? You know, let me take your cares away. Now I'm leaving the rind on mine. Obviously you can take yours off. And all that's left to do, once we got a good coverage and a good rub in, is we want to measure the thickness then. And that will determine how many days it stays in the bag. So I've got my old measuring tape, and obviously doing that trimming will give you more of a uniform shape. So that's coming in at 2 3/4 inches. So you need to give it a day for every half an inch. Now, I ain't that clever. I shall put this in a bag, work it out, and get back to you. Now the beauty with this stuff is, even if you left it in for 10, 12 days, because the measurements are so precise, you will not get over salty bacon or gammon joints, or like this collar bacon or boiling bacon, what we call it. That's the genius thing about it. If this was a homemade cure with salt and sugar and you left it in too long, you'd have super salty bacon. So 8 days in the fridge, nicely packed, 21st of July 2020, and then we'll see that again in 8 days. Good night, sweet prince. Okay then, now is the moment of truth. So, this has been in for 10 days. If you remember, I said with this Insta-Cure, Easy Cure, Super Cure, whatever you want to call it, cure, because it's so precise, if you do leave it those extra few days, it's going to be perfect. Just look at that. I'm going to open up inside. Perfectly cured. So that was a raw shoulder of pork, a Boston butt. We call it spare rib. It has now become a bacon joint. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wash this off, give it a little bath, give it a little dry out. Then I'm going to slice some of this neck end, because this is traditional collar bacon. If you've never seen it before, when I cut into it, you'll see it's got all that fat that runs through it, loads of flavour, just a superb cut of meat. And then what I'll do is we'll tie up this end and we'll have it as a bacon joint as you would gammon. So yeah, really happy with that. Absolutely stunning piece of meat. I've got my vintage slicer ready, so we'll wash it off and get on with it. So one of my old bowls, just going to get some water in there and wash off all that excess cure. Now the thing with bacon, once you've cured it, you need to let it equalise, so you put it back in the fridge uncovered, give it a couple of days, and what that allows it to do is all the cure that goes in and comes back out, it's still a bit unevenly distributed in here, so equalise and it will dry out and it will finally spread evenly. Not that you would notice if you want to slice this now and eat it or boil it, not a problem, but give it another couple of days and it will be even better. I mean, if you can wait even longer with bacon, the longer you leave it, the better it will become. There, nicely out the bath. So pat it dry. It really is that easy. So, you know, you can cure the loin, you can cure the belly. Obviously, curing the loin, back bacon, curing the belly, streaky. You can cure the loin and belly together as a whole. That's what we used to call all across or middle bacon. Then there's the shoulder we're doing now, collar bacon as slices or boiling joints. The gammon obviously speaks for itself. The ham, you take the raw leg, you cure it, you've got yourself a ham. And obviously, like I said at the start, that other part of the shoulder from here, that hand, again, would make a lovely little picnic ham. So yeah, everything is curable. You just need to get some of that fantastic stuff. You can add a few bits and bobs to it yourself if you want to. If you want to add sugar or herbs, you know, you've just got to experiment. But yeah, it is witchcraft. Absolutely brilliant. Right. Give that a wipe. Get my string out. And we'll tie a few strings. Isn't it a wonderful thing? So, just going to put a few strings around this. Like I said, 1/2 for a boiling joint and the other for the truly wonderful collar bacon. So this is a classic butcher's knot. If you'd like to learn how to do this, of course I got a video. I will put it down in the description, how to tie a butcher's knot. So just put one on the end there. And just gently gather that knot up, a locking knot, like that. Now, I'm going to tie the ends where I'm going to slice, just so I can keep it together. Perfecto. So they will come off obviously when we slice it. Now we just need to cut this beautiful thing. And see the fruits of our labour. So I'm going to go about there. And you will see how beautiful that is. The flavour in that is immense. It's my favourite, my all-time favourite piece of bacon. I grew up eating that. The bacon's amazing. This, a boiling joint, a bacon joint, is just the best. Served traditionally with peas pudding, mashed potato. I used to have collar bacon, mashed potato, and then the fat that came out of the bacon on the mashed potatoes. Really, really old school. Wonderful dish. But yeah, you can tell how perfect that is cured. Right, I'm going to put that over there, and we're going to get my fantastic, I think it's a 1950s Hobart. Either way, it's a really, really cool bit of kit. But before we do that, I just want to show you one of my vintage books. As you may or may not know, I collect these books. There's this book here. There's a section in here on about how to cut the fore end, showing you how to cut the collar from the hock. And then if we look here, if I can bring it round, it should start to look a bit like this. As we know, our collar joint. Next, we're going to do our collar bacon. And it says here, collar rashers are popular with industrial caterers, institutions and transport cafes because they provide a large lean rasher at an economic price. As already explained, there is an aperture in the collar and often there are loose pieces of bacon. It is therefore advisable to string the collar as shown in the diagram. By doing this, the collar joint looks more attractive to the customer as the meat is tightly knit together. When rashering on the machine, there is less waste since the small pieces of collar do not drop away from the rashers. The collar can be sold as rashers or as boiling joints. It's generally lean, should we try that again? It is generally lean and has a very good flavour, providing a compact joint which the housewife will find easy to cut. Every day is a school day. I just want to show you this page as well here. A whole smoked collar, also joints and rashes. It can be seen clearly that it is most important to string the collar when joints are being cut. Wonderful, wonderful old book from my library of vintage butchery books. Take me years to find them. I cherish them. Right. Let's do it. So some of you may have seen this absolutely beautiful slicer in previous videos. They really don't make them like this anymore. It's just a wonderful piece of kit made in England, built to last. So obviously we get our bacon we want to slice. We get it in there. We put the handle down. Okay then, so we got our dial. We set it to our desired thickness. Now years ago, people would come in the shop and they say, Scott, can you cut me 4 slices at number 10 or 15? Or if you were cutting ham, cooked ham, they'd be like, oh, can you do us 4 it on number 4? It's something you don't get anymore. It's all pre-cut for you, or they'll just put it on the slicer and away they go. But years ago, you know, people liked it thicker, people liked it thinner. It's just one of those little quirky things I like about the trade that's gone, you know, but such is life. So I'm going to set that for 25 now, and I will just cut a slice and see where we are. So we fire her up. Nice and simple. So when you see those bacon bits, these are the bits that are cut off first before you start getting your lovely, clean, perfect slices. I'm going to take it a little bit thicker. Isn't that fantastic? So what I'm going to do then is clean the slicer off, put this all together on the tray, put the bacon joint on the tray, and we can see what we've got out that lovely collar. Wow, my dear friends, what a blast from the past. That is a tray of my butchering history. This beautiful collar boiling bacon joint, cooked the same as gammon, and then this truly wonderful collar bacon brings back so many memories. And you really must give this a go. You know, go to your butcher or your local store, get some pork, speak to one behind the counter, say I want the spare rib end, or in the US the Boston butt. Get online and get some of that Instacure, Supercure, Easy Cure, and give it a go. Trust me, you will absolutely love it, and you will be eating the past, because this is really, really old school, and I am so chuffed how it's turned out. So if you like what you've seen here today on the SRP, click subscribe when my face comes up down here. Also check me out on my social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at the Scott Reed Project. And I just want to say a big thank you and thumbs up to my wonderful Patreons. I know I am the lamest creator, but I really, really appreciate what you do for the channel. Some of this stuff couldn't be done without your wonderful support. So thank you very much. And on that note, if you would like to support the channel, check out my Patreon page, or I have a PayPal me link. Either way, thank you for watching. You may see this turn up in another video, but do, if you can, give it a go. Take care, my friends. All the best.